Blue Book Talking to Psychopaths, Chapter 11 Summary. Introduction. In Chapter 11, Christopher Barrady shifts toward deeper reflection on what his interviews reveal about the limits of human understanding. This chapter focuses on the psychological boundaries of empathy, the difference between understanding and excusing behavior, the emotional cost of confronting extreme personalities, society's responsibility in identifying danger, the uncomfortable truth about evil. Chapter 11 feels reflective and philosophical. It moves beyond individual cases and asks bigger questions about morality, responsibility, and human nature. Brain understanding versus excusing. One major theme in this chapter is the difference between understanding and justifying. Barrady makes it clear. Studying psychopaths does not mean defending them. Understanding how someone thinks helps prevent future harm, improve profiling, recognize warning signs, protect potential victims. But understanding should never become sympathy that ignores responsibility. Psychopaths often try to blur this line. They may present traumatic backgrounds or difficult childhoods in ways that shift focus away from their crimes. The author stresses that explanation is not the same as excuse. Neutral face the limits of empathy. Chapter 11 explores an uncomfortable truth. Empathy has limits. Most people naturally try to see both sides, understand motives, feel compassion. But when faced with extreme emotional coldness, empathy struggles. Barrady explains that when sitting across from individuals who describe violent acts without remorse, there comes a point where emotional understanding reaches its boundary. This realization can be disturbing. Some individuals do not share the same emotional foundation as most of society. Performing arts, the illusion of humanity. A powerful idea in this chapter is the illusion of normalcy. Psychopaths may speak politely, discuss ordinary topics, show humor, maintain steady eye contact. In those moments, they appear completely human and relatable. Then they describe acts of violence without emotion. This sudden contrast creates psychological shock. It forces the interviewer to confront the gap between appearance and reality. Direct hit responsibility and choice. Barrady emphasizes personal responsibility. Even when considering biological influences, brain differences, childhood trauma, psychopaths still make choices. They plan. They decide. They act intentionally. Chapter 11 reinforces that understanding risk factors does not remove accountability. Jigsaw emotional impact on the researcher. The author reflects on how repeated exposure to violent narratives affects the interviewer. Listening to graphic accounts requires emotional control, mental discipline, psychological distance. Barrady notes that without careful boundaries, exposure to such material can be overwhelming. This chapter reminds readers that studying psychopathy is not emotionally neutral work. Balance society's role. Another key focus is society's responsibility. Barrady suggests that society must take warning signs seriously, avoid romanticizing criminals, strengthen evaluation systems, balance rehabilitation with caution. He warns against glamorizing psychopathy in media. When criminals become famous, attention itself can become a reward. Awareness should lead to prevention, not fascination. Magnifying glass tilted left the nature of evil. Chapter 11 touches on a philosophical question. What is evil? Barrady does not define it in supernatural terms. Instead, he presents it as extreme emotional detachment, willingness to harm without remorse, self-centered decision-making, lack of conscience. This perspective makes evil less mysterious, but more unsettling. It becomes a personality structure rather than a dramatic outburst, warning the danger of underestimation. The chapter warns against underestimating psychopathy, because psychopaths may appear intelligent, controlled, socially skilled. People may ignore early warning signs. Barry emphasizes the importance of trusting patterns, not charm, observing consistent behavior, recognizing manipulation. Superficial confidence should never replace careful evaluation. Brain emotional strength as protection. One of the final messages of Chapter 11 is about emotional strength. To confront psychopathy safely, individuals must maintain boundaries, avoid being manipulated, stay rational, separate curiosity from sympathy. Emotional awareness becomes a protective tool. Key lessons from Chapter 11. Understanding behavior is not the same as excusing it. Empathy has limits when faced with emotional emptiness. Psychopaths often appear normal and relatable. Personal responsibility remains central. Studying extreme personalities requires mental resilience. Society must balance awareness with caution. Evil can exist without visible rage. Brain simple conclusion. Chapter 11 deepens the book's reflection on psychopathy. Christopher Barry shows that emotional detachment can exist behind ordinary appearances. Responsibility does not disappear because of difficult backgrounds. Awareness and emotional discipline are essential for protection. The chapter leaves readers with a challenging thought. Psychopathy is not dramatic chaos. It is controlled emptiness. And confronting that reality requires both knowledge and psychological strength.